dev team. We're going to talk a little bit more about in-depth the game we're making. We can talk a little bit about mechanics. We can talk about the art style, all that stuff. We're going to talk about Snapshot. We're going to walk through it step by step, what we delivered on, what was our vision, what were we thinking, all that kind of stuff, so that you can get a little bit more context for those of you that have already played it and those of you who have yet to play it. So let's get into that a little bit, okay? So right here on the screen, this is the very first thing that you see when you load up Snapshot 1. You're riding in an elevator, there's some mystery, what's going on here, the elevator doors open, and boom, you're greeted to this. This is what we're calling our weapons bench room, all right? And so in here is the weapons bench, and this is something that, this could become lots of things, and this is what we'd like to get feedback from you guys. But for us, the genesis of this is where you as a player could come and customize your weapon, or weapons, not just a single weapon, but your weapons. How many weapons do you have? All those kind of things. What kind of weapons? These are the things we also want to hear from you as well. But you as a player, you'd come in here and you'd tinker with things. You'd change different attachments, all sorts of stuff, right? Things that you'd expect. We're thinking of things like, hey, how do you display maybe your favorite weapon? All that kind of stuff. And so that's what this room was trying to evoke. It's like very simple. We want to at least lay the foundation for the weapons bench. And in this room as well, we've also got things like, you know, there's a closed door over to the right. Well, what's that all about? You know, there's a keypad. If you're going to interact with it, it beeps at you, says access denied. There's things in there that we're trying to build towards. And that's what's exciting to us with this hideout and with this game in general, as we build it with all of you in mind, is things are going to evolve over time. There's going to be new areas to explore. Each snapshot will get into these things. So when it comes to this room and this weapon, one of the main features is this classified rifle. We don't really have a name for it yet. That'll come. So if anyone's got cool ideas, let us know. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this, because I want to kick it over to our art director, Darren Bacon, and he could tell us a little bit about this weapon, its identity, its looks, and all that.
Yeah, okay, so this weapon, it's kind of a nice snapshot on just art direction generally all up on the project. And so what we've been thinking about is it's like the high level idea is it's the future through the lens of the 80s and 90s in like an alternate timeline. And so what that allows us to do is like kind of pick the stuff that like, you know, fits best with our genre and in nice society. And so also generally it's like the whole vibe, yeah, basically lives around that, and it's a world where, you know, Doc could be living in, but he'd be in the streets, and it's not like we're making, you know, his big adventures. So that's generally the high level art style goals.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So that is another thing that's really exciting about this when we think about the art style and the visuals that you're seeing in here is, like Darren said, it's as if the 1980s or the 90s never really ended. You know, not the campy stuff, but like the stuff that we all, you know, grew up liking. Like you think of like the Terminator movies or Aliens and Escape from New York. Those are some of our inspirations of this kind of universe we're building here. And so that's why we love the X1 and that classified rifle, just how it looks. And to be, yeah. So with that, I mean, what about the environment in here? And I'd like to Greg over here. Greg Cox is our lead environment artist. Greg, tell us about just the environment and what we're trying to see here and accomplish.
Well, there was a couple of challenges with this because we're using Unreal 5, so we want to make sure that we're using the features of Unreal 5 to make our lives easier while still delivering a very good product. And to your point, you know, Quinn, this is, you know, when we first started looking at this space, we put together a lot of reference boards. So we started looking at a lot of the classic movies that we kind of like, old school John Carpenter kind of movies, Big Trouble in Little China, you know, a little bit of Bloodsport in there, you know. So we mixed some things in of you know, not for the sake of nostalgia. Like, we don't necessarily want to convey nostalgia, but the limitations that those films had at the time made those films great, and they look good, right? So we want to capture that a little bit. So we knew that for this first shot, it had to be important. Like, it needed to grab your attention immediately. The player needs to see that rifle. The player needs to be drawn into that workbench. And so we began populating it out with some of the assets that we built from scratch. And then we also pulled in things from Megascans to kind of make life a little bit easier for us. And yeah, so we did a lot of sat dressing, and we went through multiple iterations of lighting to kind of capture that mood for it a little bit and everything. And I think it did the job. I think it did a really good job of it. So yeah, we're all really, really proud of it. And I think that rifle just looks so damn good up there.